So hello guys, what's up, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Let's get right into today's video. When I came across bits and snippets of Peter Okoye, aka Mr. P's tell-all series on some blogs, accusing his elder brother, his former manager Jude Okoye, of theft, criminal misappropriation, fraudulent conversion amongst others, and I was surprised. Yes, I was. And you may ask why. I was surprised not because I did not know those allegations exist. They remain allegations for now, right? Not facts. That was not my surprise. Why I was surprised was because, based off Peter's petition to the Financial Crimes Commission, the authorities acted swiftly. An investigation ensued. Jude was arrested, detained, and subsequently charged. And he is currently facing trial to determine the truth or the falsity of those claims. His travel documents have been confiscated, his bank accounts frozen, and an injunction has been placed on the properties that are subject of the disputes to preserve the state of those properties pending the determination of the matter. Meaning the court has frozen that property. Nobody can go and sell it. Nobody can access it. The properties Peter is alleging Jude stole from him, even the monies, everything has been frozen. It's called an injunction, pending the determination of the case. And as we speak, the case is ongoing in courts. No verdict has been reached. Now, please note, nothing here depicts injustice to Jude or is a suggestion of his guilt. These steps are very normal and typical in cases involving allegations of fraud. So the law is simply taking its course. Nobody is victimizing Jude. That is how it usually goes. Now, when a matter is subject to active litigation, it is prohibited from being discussed or debated publicly. The parties are not supposed to take to social media or anybody at all to start divulging the nitty-gritties of it. Not to talk about a person of interest, which in this case is Peter, who is the nominal complainant. So I was like, Daddy P, are you sure it's best to table this case before the court of social media now, when it is already progressing and pending before a court of law? Are you aware that move can put the whole case in jeopardy and even cause the courts to hold you in contempt? You should have been more careful. Are you sure? Did you run that decision by your attorney? Did I give you a go-ahead to do this? So I was thinking and talking as a lawyer, not a regular social media commenter. Now at this point, when I was initially questioning if Peter made the best decision doing that, I hadn't even gone to his page to watch the full videos, and I didn't intend to. I didn't intend talking about it because, come on, just like me, many of us were already tired of these Okoye brothers fighting year in, year out. So I didn't want to. And besides, I took a peep at his page, and I saw that he would post one of the videos, Part 1, or Episode 1, however they titled it, and then the next post would be him promoting a new song. So I was like, come, guy man, are you whining us? Are you using us to do promotion? Are you using us to generate traffic or promote your new single? So I didn't go to his page. I didn't pay attention to it. I was just running into parts of it here and there on the blogs. But as the days rolled by, instead of feeding, this saga gained attention. And so I decided to go watch for myself. And I didn't get too long into the series when I already formed an opinion of what was happening and the roots of this outburst. Why would Peter, who, of course, is a wealthy man, would have a very solid legal team, might even have senior advocates of Nigeria representing him, why would he defy all the legal consequences and still come to social media to give this episode? I made a short clip on Instagram revealing some of it. This is part of what I said. Now, this whole thing may seem like an issue of money to us, the onlookers, but believe me when I tell you it was not just about money. It didn't start as money. What I see is years and years of resentment, bitterness, ego tussles, hurt, and unmet emotional needs. Peter, on the one hand, may have felt neglected, boxed, controlled, undervalued. This complaint from Peter didn't just start now. This outburst on social media has been happening for years. He kept on feeling neglected. He felt like Jude was not being fair, was not being a good umpire, was biased, and that his concerns were not being addressed seriously. Jude, on the other hand, may have believed he was genuinely doing what was good for the team, managing the business, and the business was growing. We all saw how well they did as Psquare compared to how they're doing individually, protecting the brand. Making all the difficult decisions as the manager, Paul, on the third hand, may have been seeing himself as the engine of the group. He felt like, despite all the work he was putting in, Peter was being consistently ungrateful or difficult. Paul may have been feeling like Peter was being unnecessarily emotional, dramatic, and uncooperative, and that he wasn't only being insulting to him, he was insulting the family. Every brother in the group felt like they were the ones being misunderstood. And that is exactly how most family conflicts grow, where everybody is defending their own pain, and nobody is taking the time to consider the pain of the other person. So while money has become the language of their fight, the real issues are pride, recognition, control, loyalty, respect. Now, 24 hours after my video, Peter came out with the almighty Part 8 of his series, which has now become the climax of it. And there I had my confirmation. That was the only episode. For the first time since Peter started this last month, the 30th of July, 2026. Episode 8 was the first time Peter burst into tears like a baby and wept. That was the wound. So I tell you, if there was already existing love, peace, understanding, acceptance, respect, and cooperation between these brothers, money would not make them fall out so hatefully, so bitterly, and so irreconcilably. There were serious underlying pains and tensions that have dragged on for years, so we will address the money parts, because it is important too. But first, let us address the foundation, the cocoa. Let us address and draw out the lessons from Part 8 of Peter's expose. Let us dive right into the cocoa. Please, I want to ask you people. I have 1 million naira to send to anybody that can go on Google and find any time I posted a tweet, or Instagram, or Facebook, or wherever. Any defamatory whatever on Peter's wife. Please, the first person to send that to me on my DM will win 1 million naira. Now you see a statement like this, that you're going to offer 1 million naira? This is where I feel pity for Paul, guys. I can guarantee you we all know, dude, you use Paul as a decoy. Yes, you try to manipulate Paul to say some things online, so that at the end of the day, you're not setting up Paul for dragging. Now look at what you just said. Meanwhile, look at the innocent post where Peter wished Jude and Paul happy birthday. That's Paul's response. Now look at Jude's comment underneath. There has never been a time Paul and Jude have ever had maybe a physical altercation, an argument, an insult, on that side. But on Jude's side, it's the opposite way. Now, one thing I noticed from the beginning of this Part 8, in fact, almost consistent throughout the episodes, I don't know if you noticed it too, is how keen Peter is on protecting his twin brother Paul, making excuses for Paul, defending Paul while putting Jude out. Even the foundation of his outburst had nothing to do with Jude. It was Paul. Are you guys aware how this whole drama started? Last week, when Peter was talking about how proud he is that his children are learning French, that they can speak French, and Paul came out to shade him indirectly, like, you wouldn't teach your children the motherland, something like that. That was what initiated Peter to come out with this. But Peter is angry, not with Paul, with Jude. Paul is a full-blown man, an adult of his own. And everything Peter is accusing Jude of, Paul did too, maybe even worse. This allegation of fraud. Peter is trying hard to shield Paul. No, it's not Paul. Paul is not. I didn't report Paul. Paul didn't contribute. Paul didn't do anything. Paul doesn't know. It's Jude. Paul himself has come out with his own mouth to say the thing Peter is accusing Jude of. I am guilty, he said. He is guilty. Supporting him because I know the truth. And the truth is, unfortunately, the way the journalists are making it look, like he's a fraud, like he's this, he's that. Let's call it as it is. Peter is the one putting you to this thing. Simple. People should stop writing whatever. It's Peter that is doing this, and I'm here. He's putting him in prison. I'm here to bring him out. But Peter is a brother, too. I didn't deny that he's not my brother. Are you saying you're leaning more towards Peter than... It has something to do with... I'm only standing for the truth. Because let me tell you something. The same crime they're accusing him of, Peter is guilty. Paul is guilty in that case. Even in this message that Peter is quoting, Paul was the one who publicly called out Lola. Jude was just under the comment section. It was Paul that openly insulted Lola. Peter couldn't get himself to accept that. He keeps insisting, "No, it is not Paul. Paul is innocent. It is Jude manipulating him. It is Jude. It is Jude." Peter loves Paul, and he loves him so much. And when you love somebody, you would give excuses. You'll be blind to their shortcomings. Peter's like a wounded child who is upset that the cool kid stole his best friend. Peter is furious with Jude for taking his place in Paul's life. Listen, every irate, angry adult you see today exhibiting some traits is a reflection of a wounded childhood. Many of the things that provoke us, that make us react as adults, trace them well, and you will see a connection to years past. So Peter blames Jude for having ruined his relationship with Paul. Peter was jealous, and when I say jealous, I do not mean it in that negative, evil way. He was jealous that Paul and Jude had a closer bond, and he was like a third leg in the wheel. Peter told Paul, "Let's get this guy out, brother. It's you and me. Peter and Paul then be one, not two." Paul said, "No, it is three of us. We are brothers, we are blood, one big family, all together." Peter felt betrayed by his twin. When Peter and Jude had that backstage fallout, and in the heat of those emotions, he took to social media to announce, "I have fired Jude. Jude is no longer our manager. Psquare is Peter and Paul. Jude is just an employee." He was expecting Paul's support, Paul's loyalty, Paul's concurrence. His heart shattered into many pieces when Paul made a choice, chose a side, and that side was not him. Paul responded with a picture of himself, Paul and Jude, and edited Peter out of that picture. Peter was initially in that picture, cropped out and replaced with a jukebox. Peter is responding from the disappointment and pain that his own twin brother chose another person, chose Jude. The other person instead of him. Peter believes Jude drove a wedge between them, that he is the reason Psquare ended, and why they didn't get to the pinnacle of their career as they should have. So Peter resents Jude, and he resented him even long before he allegedly discovered these money issues and these allegations of fraud. So as I said in that clip, even before Peter came out with these confirmations, money became the language to express his pain, his hurt, and his resentment. But the first and primary underlying factors were issues of feelings of betrayal, sabotage, and loyalty. Let's go on. Some years back when my girlfriend, Lola, was pregnant, I didn't want the news to break me. I decided to break the news myself, because then there were too many baby mama scandals. Celebrity baby mama, celebrity gave birth, celebrity impregnated. I didn't want that to happen to me. We went for a Sound City Awards. We won 3 awards that day. When we were leaving the venue, the paparazzi, the media people gathered around us. Of course, we held the awards. We were having more like an interview. Next thing, they said, "Who are we dedicating the awards to?" I picked up the first award. I said, "This award is for God Almighty." I praise God with that. Second award, I said, "This award goes to the fans and to everyone who has supported us." The last one, I said, "This one is for the mother of my unborn child and my incoming son." Next thing, Paul walked away from that media setting. As I mentioned, even before Peter came out with this video in Part 8, Ego Tussles, Respect and Disrespect, Unmet Emotional Needs, I pointed out to us in that 3-minute clip that most family crises do not start as financial or legal problems. They usually start emotionally. Money, property, business, and lawsuits only become the language through which deeper resentment is eventually expressed. Now, in this part, Peter talked about a period when Lola, his girlfriend at the time, was pregnant. Back then, getting pregnant outside of wedlock was not as popular and normalized as it is today. It was almost seen as something shameful. In fact, it was seen as something extremely shameful. The baby mama culture was just beginning to trickle slowly into our entertainment space, into our society, through entertainment. It started with entertainment, right? So pregnancy outside marriage was not as normalized as it is today, where nobody bats an eye. In fact, it's now a lucrative business. So much has really changed in the last 15 years. Then, if a girl got pregnant outside marriage, her father would literally put her out of the house, beat her out of the house. If you had a nice father, nice parents, the best they could do was take you to the village. Not your father's side of the village. Maybe your mother's side or your grandmother's side, where nobody would really know you and hide you there. You would live out the years of your pregnancy there and give birth there, so it was not something a lot of people were proud of. There was a lot of stigma attached to it. Now, I want us to be open-minded and honest with ourselves. Because on this channel, we are not people pleasers. We're not crowd pleasers. We think from every side of an issue. Do I think Peter taking the entire team by surprise and publicly dedicating one of the awards that came from the collective efforts of Psquare to his pregnant girlfriend, his soon-to-be baby mama? Do I think that was the ideal way to break what the media would interpret as a scandal at that time? No, I do not think so. Without taking sides, we must be able to examine everybody's actions fairly. Peter believes he had good reason, that there was logic he could defend. Let me break this news before the news breaks itself. Let me own my story, which sounds good. But that decision did not show respect and consideration for the structure around him, for the group, for the management, for the people whose careers were tied to the brand, something that's sensitive. And remember, I'm saying sensitive because baby mama culture at that time was not the same as today. And the weight that blogs had on people's careers then is not like now. Even now when we're talking, nobody will really answer you. But then, we saw Tonto DK come to national TV to defend herself against blogs. We saw Two-Face. Celebrities today can just say whatever, but then the media had celebrities on choke mode. They used to come out to defend themselves. It's not that they don't have respect for us again, so something that sensitive should have first been agreed upon privately. You speak with your manager. That's the reason they're called managers. They're supposed to manage and package you. You speak with your twin brother, who is your partner in that business. You speak with the people organizing, managing the group, because you're not just an individual now, you are a brand. You speak with the record label, and then you decide together how you want to handle the announcement. Not because anybody has a right to control your personal life, but because when you are part of a major group, some personal decisions inevitably affect the entire brand. If our personal decisions do not have any impact on our work life or on our brand, why is it that when someone at the office is accused of infidelity, or beating his wife or something he did privately, the office will put him on suspension? Why is it that even in corporate settings, when an individual acts out of line in his personal life, just as we saw with Natasha Niobe, when she was jumping up and down with two faces doing rubbish, the House summoned her and said, if you don't behave yourself, we'll suspend you. Because personal decisions can affect company brand? Even Ariana Grande a few days ago, because she has been under scrutiny for a while. She has lost a lot of weight. Some people are speculating about her health, her weight, whatever. It is her management that is packaging the situation and giving official statements. A few days ago, they just released a statement that she'll be taking a break from the public. Not her, as big and as successful as she is. She cannot just come out and make a big announcement without the notice and agreement of the label and the team. I'm not saying management should announce a pregnancy for another man, but she cannot just make a big announcement without that structure being consulted. So I want us to take note there and learn from that. We must have respect for structure wherever we find ourselves. And so when Peter made that announcement, shockingly out of nowhere, dedicating their award to his pregnant girlfriend, they walked out, not necessarily because they hated him, but in protest of that behavior. Now, did they themselves do well by walking out on him like that? No, they didn't, because two wrongs can never make it right. But I am just demonstrating how emotional pile-up, emotion after emotion, can ruin relationships long before other things do. And one thing that keeps coming through in Peter's own narration is that Peter appears to have been very impulsive and highly emotional. He often acts first before he deals with the consequences later. And that's why in that last video we made on Psquare, he was always the one coming out saying, "Sorry, we have broken up today." "Okay, sorry, we have made up tomorrow, okay? We have broken up again. Don't worry, we have made up." He was the one doing that. So if you are not capable of checking your emotions, you will always find yourself making rash decisions that will be regrettable when the emotions that fueled those actions fade or subside. Because emotions are not stable. They go high and low, right? So this is a lesson for all of us. If you do not have the emotional intelligence to manage your own emotions, you will struggle to manage relationships with others because relationships are not sustained by logic alone. Nobody moves around marriage or friendship, or relationships with their master's degree and their PhD. It's not logic or academic intelligence that sustains a relationship. It is those impulses, those emotions. So emotions matter, timing matters, respect matters. How you make